Hi everyone and welcome to the Dodo Nerd. It's me, the Dodo Nerd, and in today's Pokemon video, I'm going to be doing a small little theory I had that Mustard reintroduced Lycanroc to the Galar region. So without any further ado, let's roll the intro and let's get started. So one quick thing before we get started, that being that all works and images used will be in the description of the video. So what exactly is my first piece of evidence that Mustard reintroduced Lycanroc to the Galar region? So the first piece of evidence I have to support this claim is the historical context surrounding wolves in Great Britain. So when exactly did these wolves go extinct in the island of Great Britain, where Galar is based? As you know, in order to have a reintroduction, for the most part, they have to be extinct. I mean, you, in theory, could be like reintroducing them to up numbers, but most of the time, if you're doing it, you're helping to return an extinct species. Well, in England, they went extinct in 1390. In Wales, they went extinct in 1166. And in Scotland, they went extinct anywhere from 1680 to 1888, though any claims really after 1680 are more stories that haven't been confirmed, I don't think. So more so on that 1680 number. But yeah, based on when the games of Sword and Shield are likely taking place, wolves would have been extinct in England for quite a while by that time, and since the only non-legendary wolf Pokemon we have is Lycanroc, Lycanroc is a pretty good replacement for the real-world Grey Wolf, which went extinct in Great Britain, so in a way it made sense why they weren't in the original set of the Galar games without the DLC, because the animal they were based on, well, quite frankly, went extinct in the region. So my next piece of evidence comes from Mustard's League card. Now, quite simply, this shows that he would have had the means to reintroduce Lycanroc to the Galar region. So on his League card it states, and this is a direct quote from the League card, his sudden purchase of a deserted island added to the surprise of those around him. Now, while that last part doesn't apply as much to the claim, the sudden purchase of a deserted island bit does, as we have confirmation that he didn't just build the dojo on the land that he bought. He bought the entire island and then built the dojo on it. So in theory, he could do whatever he wanted with the Pokemon distribution on the Isle of Armor. And so because of that, he definitely has the means necessary to reintroduce Lycanroc to the Galar region. So my next piece of evidence to support my claim is quite simple. The trainers that use Lycanroc in Sword and Shield and its DLCs. Quite simply put, Mustard uses a Lycanroc on his team, which would definitely make sense if he had reintroduced Lycanroc to the Galar region through the Isle of Armor. But more specifically, outside of a partner in Dynamax adventures, Mustard is the only NPC in the entire game that uses a Lycanroc. No one in the Galarian Star Tournament uses one. None of the dojo trainers use one. Peony doesn't use one. And as far as I know, I don't know if they necessarily like added more stuff to the battle tower with the Isle of Armor decks, but assuming that they didn't, that means that Mustard is the only trainer in the game that does use a Lycanroc that isn't the player themselves. So it makes sense in two counts. One, if you introduce them, it makes sense that he would use one on his team. And for seconders, if he did reintroduce them, it would be a fairly new Pokemon to the Galar region. So a lot of the trainers probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to catch one in order to add it to their team. So it makes a lot of sense why he would have used a Lycanroc on his team, especially when you think of the fact that his League card also mentions that he went traveling. So that would have given him the means to even find a Lycanroc in the first place, realize the plight of it in the Galar region, and then he would have started doing the reintroduction thing when he got back, which makes a lot of sense and is kind of linked to the previous thing with his League card, but I just realized it just now, so it makes sense why his trainers that use a Lycanroc, if he reintroduced it, it makes sense why he would use it. So the last piece of evidence I have to prove that Mustard did indeed reintroduce Lycanroc to the Galar region is where exactly Lycanroc is even found in the Galar region. So outside of the somewhat lack of sense in terms of the Pokemon that can spawn their Dynamax adventure, what I mean by that is the fact that in an average shiny hunt, you're giving the scientist person like 100 legendaries or so, which doesn't seem the most accurate thing in the world. So, yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm probably not going to count the Dynamax adventure as a legitimate thing in terms of distribution for Pokemon. However, outside of that, Lycanroc or Rockruff can only be found on the Isle of Armor in Galar. That is the only place in the entire region they can be found. They were not in the Crown Tundra, to be frank. So, if Mustard did reintroduce them to the Galar region, starting on the Isle of Armor, it's possible they just haven't spread out yet, which could explain why they're only found there, not in the rest of the region. Quite simply put, they were supposed to be in the rest of the region, but they went extinct there, and then Mustard is starting to do the process of reintroducing them via the Isle of Armor. And so that is the final piece of evidence I have to prove my theory. So in conclusion, due to the historical events surrounding the extinction of wolves in Great Britain, Mustard's ownership of the Isle of Armor giving him the means to reintroduce Lycanroc without too much paperwork, the lack of trainers that use them in Galar, because potentially it was just recently reintroduced, so they wouldn't have had much of an opportunity to get them, except for Mustard, who, if he has one, makes sense if he reintroduced it, why he would use one, and their small distribution in Galar, outside of the lack of sense Dynamax adventure that I'm not going to count, only being in areas that Mustard could have directly reintroduced them, I believe that Mustard reintroduced Lycanroc to the Isle of Armor, and therefore Galar as a whole. And while it hasn't gotten to most of mainland Galar yet, I do think that eventually, while we won't see this in the games, he could get enough public support in the story to reintroduce Lycanroc to the rest of the Galar region, helping to complete its reintroduction to Galar. So what do you think of my theory that Mustard reintroduced Lycanroc to the Galar region? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think that it is a plausibility that it did indeed occur? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!